may only speak once.
I'm going to let Sergeant Rodriguez please speak first. Chief, you will be next.
Just want to make sure this is on. Okay. For those who don't know me, I am Sergeant John Rodriguez, and I represent the Superior Officers Association of PBA 168. I will try to be brief, given the weather and the volume of interested parties in the room. But first, I would like to thank Mayor Reyna, who could not be here tonight, and his administration for their ongoing and long-term commitment to the growth and development of our police department. Madam Council President, Councilman Bernstein, Councilman Sargent, and Councilman Chisholm and Borelli. We thank you for hearing and being receptive to the current needs of the agency, and by extension, the best interests of the residents of the Jackson Township, whom we proudly serve. I first wish to speak on the issue of the position of a public safety director and why we, as a union, support the township's decision to present this ordinance. Let me begin by stating this is not a personal issue or attack. I have had many respectful disagreements with Chief Coons, but the leadership of the agency has been in disarray and decline for a substantial portion of Chief Coons' tenure, much to the detriment of the order and function of the agency. As a few examples, there have been no agency staff meetings since August of 2015. Even among command staff, there is minimal communication and one-on-one meetings between captains and the chief with different direction given on the same issues. I had a conversation with a captain who shall remain nameless only 6 weeks ago, who implored me to do whatever I could to hold the chief accountable as they struggled with personnel assignments, given unfulfilled vacancies for both supervisory positions and patrol level assignments. In these instances, the chief failed to advocate for or even request several still unfulfilled promotable positions from retirements, leading to unexpected possible shift assignment changes for staff. As for the patrol level positions, the chief failed to hire 4 full-time police officers that were appropriately and graciously offered by the administration in the last calendar year alone. As a former detective who was involved in the hiring and background process, I can say the manner in which it has been handled in the previous few years is nothing short of disheartening. And if the chief would like to assert that this was a function of the civil service exam results failing to yield adequate applicants, I would say that he has had no problem circumventing the civil service list, demonstrating a willingness to do so in the recent past. This affords an opportunity to recruit individuals from outside the civil service list who may have special skills, such as bilingual status, or who better reflect the demographics of the increasingly diverse community which we serve. Even a modicum of effort from the chief to establish recruitment protocols would have been warmly received, as opposed to watching a growth opportunity slip through our fingers. As the son of a Cuban immigrant, I can say we do a disservice to the exponentially increasing Latino population in town, and there has been zero direction or even suggestion of concern from the chief on this matter. When we have 1 to 2 persons within the entire agency who speak any Spanish, none of which are court interpreters certified, which is the standard established by the prosecutor's office to interview a suspect, we disenfranchise victims who know that if they call to report a crime, no one who responds is even going to be able to understand the words coming out of their mouth. The chief has failed to advocate effectively to this administration the needs of the agency, and in his absence as a leader, the PBA and SOA have filled in to serve as an intermediary, ensuring the staffing and equipment needs of the agency are being met. Not only has the chief failed to advocate for the agency, but I and President Hemba have both personally had conversations with the chief regarding how we can advocate for the growth and development of the agency, during which he provided his wishes for a specific number of hires and promotions, only to later change his mind after obtaining township support, choosing to decline the growth he had just asked us to advocate for. The chief's actions have turned from apathy to counterproductive, and he does so without explanation or remorse. The agency has no known formal growth plan, unless the chief has been hiding it in his desk for 16 years and waiting until tonight to present it. In fact, when such a document was presented to the township approximately 10 years ago by previous union leadership, they were chastised and discipline was threatened against them by Chief Coons. As a union, we seek to stop this dysfunctional cycle of fulfilling tasks that should be the purview of the chief, but instead fall on the union to complete, or the agency suffers. And we thank the township for taking steps to address our concerns. For the dedicated and hardworking officers who are currently employed by JPD, there is no formal or structured career development plan, nor is there any meaningful review. Instead, supervisors are mandated to complete semi-annual evaluations, which are a requirement for our accredited status. I have personally included recommendations for training and career development for the officers on my squad and have never received any feedback or even acknowledgement on this issue. The agency should have a core curriculum of ongoing training courses that all receive in a structured manner to further both each of the individual's interests and the needs of the department. No such protocols exist, and the union have been asking for this for well over a decade. I could continue at length, but as time is limited, I want to address two other items of concern. I have rightfully been made aware of residents having pause over the salary figure corresponding to the public safety director, and it is indeed a significant salary. But I might add, it still remains nearly $50,000 less than the chief's salary, whom the public safety director will be holding accountable. It is worth noting at this point that as a collective union, we support and appreciate the township's agreement to maintain the position of chief of police, as this position alone should prevail as PD leadership long-term, with either a Chief Coons who performs adequately the functions of his office, or a new chief who is willing to do so down the road. As a union, we would like to make a suggestion to the township when filling the PSD position that they consider utilizing the immense talent pool that already exists within the agency. Not only will this serve to have someone who is already intimately aware of the concerns and issues within the agency, but further saves the township a significant portion of the salary figure. The township would instead only have to increase the salary budget by the difference in salary, and with the parameters established by the ordinance, this would total $29,000 instead of $200K plus benefits. With costs minimized, opposition to this by Chief Coons is really just opposition to accountability. Perhaps such a measure would alleviate the draconian cuts the chief has recently threatened if this ordinance passes. I would now like to speak about some of the media articles that have been published in recent days. President Hemba, who I'm sure will speak later, and I have both received overwhelming support and encouragement from those we represent, as you can see in the room today. As a result, we have issued statements to the Lakewood Scoop regarding our support of the township's ordinance, again, specifically as the township has committed to maintaining the position of chief of police. This article and the article outlining the disgraceful bully tactics the chief has employed in recent days are both factual and represent the destabilization of the work environment the chief has fostered in the wake of this. And we hope to move forward with providing ever-improving service to the residents of Jackson Township. The article that was published regarding Lieutenant Olajar's, retired Lieutenant Olajar's, is not endorsed by PBA 168 and contains factual errors, including identifying that incident as the impetus for this ordinance. This is not true, and a distraction from the greater issue at hand, which is the inability of the agency to progress as it is currently managed. As it relates to what did or didn't happen regarding discipline for this matter, it is a direct reflection on Chief Coons, as this incident occurred within the confines of the building he manages, and he alone ultimately made the recommendations for what, if any, discipline should have been levied. As such, I suggest you direct any questions to him. Furthermore, to suggest that this is any reflection on Mayor Reyna and his administration is an even greater farce and purely an attempt to damage him politically, as civilian employees are not held to the standards of police officers. And if one wasn't being disciplined, how could the other be without claiming bias? But again, the investigation of this incident, the details of what transpired, and any delays in reporting are for the chief to answer and not pertinent to this ordinance, other than as a reflection of the chief's management abilities. The union wishes all its retired members well as they move forward beyond their tenure with the agency. Lastly, I would like to thank the large contingent of PBA and SOA members who are here tonight to support President Hemba and myself and no one else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant.
Hey everyone, Jeff Hemba, PBA president, Jackson resident, 42 years. This is mainly about oversight, accountability, and leadership of, or lack thereof. Just want to clarify a statement the chief made about the animosity in the police department, that was created by him 2 weeks ago when he started to show up in briefings, which he hasn't done in 15 years. And he started to tell the patrolmen how a public safety director will negatively impact the agency. That was not created by us. Having listened to Chief Coons, I would like to take the opportunity to remind the council and those in attendance today that he speaks only for himself and does not represent the will of the masses. The chief is on an island with less than 10% of the membership. If only everything could be decided with an over 90% majority, the world would be a much more peaceful place. I would like to elaborate on what President Rodriguez spoke to regarding the articles we endorsed. The tactics employed by the chief since this became public have been truly disappointing. The manner in which he cornered members of this agency in an attempt to solicit coerced signatures after making threats to the livelihood and specialty positions held by individuals within the agency highlights the manner in which he runs the agency. The fear-mongering and sky is falling if this passes narrative, he openly states, is detrimental to the day-to-day operations of the department and further justify the need for the public safety director position. But as previously stated, our issues with the impediment the chief has become to growth and progress within the agency are long-standing. To add a few new ones and reinforce what has already been said, here are some examples. You heard this already, but I'm going to say it again. Did you know the chief hasn't had a staff meeting with officers since August of 2015? The police department is managed through numerous daily emails. Did you know the police department has a much-needed SWAT team consisting of very highly deserving officers who train multiple times a year? However, the chief hasn't signed a policy for this team, which was sent to him in October of 2022. Did you know the chief was sent an updated towing ordinance for his review and signature in March of 2021? Still isn't signed. Did you know when our agency was staffed with 76 full-time officers, there were 4 officers assigned to our public schools full-time? We also have 4 officers assigned to the traffic safety unit with 1 sergeant directly supervising that unit and their needs. As of today, we have 112 officers with 2 officers assigned to our public schools, 3 officers assigned to the traffic safety unit, and no direct sergeant. Did you know the chief refuses to send officers to training classes if that particular officer doesn't write enough tickets? Chief, what is enough tickets since a quota is illegal? Did you know just a month ago that the chief attempted to use our contracted no leave days, which is allotted for a year for township events, weather-related events, on the week of the PBA's mini convention, which takes place annually the first week of March? He attempted to do this to alleviate overtime and to not allow members to go to this convention. Did you know the PBA SOA has had to file countless grievances against the chief these last several years because of him violating our collective bargaining agreement? The chief refuses to negotiate after a grievance is filed any kind of outcome that works for either party. So the PBA then has to bring the grievance to the township administration for a resolution. Did you know just last year, the township administration approved the chief to hire 8 new officers? Out of the 8 that were approved, only 4 were hired, of which only 2 graduated from the academy last week, leaving 6 approved hires on the table. The chief has not attempted to proactively hire, even though I personally heard him say that he would like to have 130 officers on staff. The town council administration, the last several years, has approved numerous hires to help staff this agency. Why is it not being fulfilled by the chief? Did you know the chief has ignored medical professional recommendations for certain gear officers can wear to help prevent or alleviate injuries to their backs, hips, etc.? The chief does not like how these exterior vest drop-down holsters look, so it requires an officer to submit a doctor's note in order to wear them. Within the last month, the new chief in Manchester approved new uniforms for men and women to include exterior vests because their officers presented to him the benefits of wearing these items, and he listened to his officers and approved them. Did you know that most times a suggestion is made by anyone in the rank and file, it is almost always shot down? Some examples are wearing exterior vests, showing tattoos, or allowing officers to grow beards for No Shave November, which we have officers here that have suffered and are battling cancer. Did you know morale is an all-time low? Some causes for this low morale are inadequate staffing. Our staffing on day shift is set at a 6-man minimum, which hasn't changed in years. Afternoon shift is set at 6-man minimum, and the last 2 years, more officers on afternoon squads were allowed to take off than were required to work. Just last month, the chief raised the minimum manpower on our midnight shift from 5 officers to 6. It has been 5-man minimum for at least 17 years. Even though the population in the town has grown significantly. It's an officer safety issue and detrimental to the residents of Jackson. The inadequate staffing is being done to reduce overtime. Did you know since January of 2023, the chief has made 75 motor vehicle stops, however doesn't wear a body camera? Did you know in October of 2021, the chief was made aware of how many clerks and the undertaking of a redaction unit due to the implementation of mandatory body cameras? The chief waited until January of 2022, where one clerk was hired and who was behind from day one. To date, there are currently 3 clerks in the unit with no direct supervisor. This unit is currently 8 months behind for attorney requests and 10 months behind for Ocean County prosecutors' requests. This is well beyond the legally established time limit. Did you know approximately 5 to 6 years ago, Great Adventure started to hire Ocean County sheriff's officers as well as Jackson officers every day to assist their security officers as needed? These are considered extra duty jobs. Every other extra duty job in Jackson are offered to Jackson officers first. If we can't fill them, then they will get assigned to an outside police agency. The chief has done nothing to fight for each job at Great Adventure for his officers. Maybe a simple phone call and discussion to Sheriff Mastronardi and the president of Great Adventure would help and show your officers that you care about their concerns or requests. I would be remiss if I did not note representatives from the Chiefs of Police Association in the audience. Ocean County has had many wonderful leaders in law enforcement, such as Sheriff Mastronardi, and I'd like to take this opportunity to support Chief Little of Toms River as he navigates difficult times. That said, Jackson Township is a unique jurisdiction with complex public safety needs, the nuisances of which are known to those who serve here. While we appreciate your attendance, we kindly request the position of the PBA and SOA are respected as only we speak for our officers. Thank you for your time, and we strongly encourage all members of the council to support this ordinance.
Thank you, sir.